What did it take this time around to get Yoki back on the floor? I'm sure it wasn't as hectic as the first ankle, but is most of the decision Yoki to make the comeback tonight? Because she'll tell you if her ankle's good or not, right?
Yeah, I try to stay out of those decisions with medical in just, it's not my area. They kind of, we got Diet Coke or something. Thank you, Randy, or Pepsi or whatever we do here. Yeah, so I try to stay out of that, man. I wasn't sure after yesterday's practice. She went through most of it, but late, it got a little bit sore, and I thought maybe she did a little too much. Tried it, tested it this morning, and I think it was just okay, quite honestly. And she said she wanted to go. That came from medical to me. That didn't come. They said, hey, she wants to go. And I said, that's great news. And they wanted me to kind of keep her around that 20-minute mark. And that got a little bit extended. But I think you could tell she wasn't coming off. And, yeah, she was just playing really, really well.
Well, kind of building off of her just playing really well, I wanted to share a stat with you. Buddy sent it to me, and it was tweeted out that Yoki was scoring 71.5 points per 100 possessions. That's a insane number.
Yeah.
Did she just feel that dominant tonight, plus the teammates throwing the ball to her?
Well, I think this was as good of committed game as we've had to what we talked about doing. We only shoot 7 threes in a 45-minute game. We wanted to go inside. We wanted to go inside the entire game. We didn't say we weren't taking threes, but what we said was we can't just look once. We got to go more than one time inside. And in the past, we've probably taken some half-guarded ones, but this was the most committed I've seen us in a long time.
Is what we saw tonight, her coming off the injury and doing what she did, is that a Big 12 MVP-worthy performance?
Yeah, there's no doubt. If, we've played, 50% of our Big 12 games without her? And I don't know how that'll impact it, but I don't think there's a more impactful player in the league for their program. And you don't need my quotes. All you need to do is watch the game, right? If you didn't see the game, go rewatch it. I got asked after the game on the court, well, how much does she mean to you? I'm like, well, you don't need me to tell you. You just watch, everybody just watch the game. It's pretty, pretty easy to see, right? Now, I think with our team, I was really pleased with the exception of our start, right? Turnovers were a problem. But I was really just pleased with everybody that came into the game had a better commitment to what we were trying to do. And, yeah, I thought it was really good.
What kind of momentum do you sense this team has heading down the stretch?
Well, I think this. Gabby Gregory said before the game, we need to get the spark back. I think this did it. I think this got the spark back. I think this got the attitude, the toughness that we need. And it took a little longer than I wanted in that first quarter, but when we got it back, it was a ball game. I hate that we had to go to overtime, but give West Virginia credit for handling that. We've got to correct some things, but I don't question. Our fight was good. We did a lot of things right, so we'll focus on those things.
Final question. How scary is this team when it's playing with the spark?
Well, I think we're a good basketball team. I thought, I mentioned the offensive discipline, but I think defensively we had great discipline tonight on what I think is a really good basketball team. I think West Virginia is one of the most underrated teams in the country. I think they should be ranked higher. I have felt that way. I've been telling my staff that for probably 6 weeks. I said, look, I've watched them. I think they're really, really good. I think they've got a Player of the Year candidate in Quinterly. But I thought we had great discipline tonight defensively.
Foul to give at the end of regulation. Was there just never a situation where you're in position to take that, or was it miscommunication, or how did that unfold?
We just got outran. Quinterly outran Serena on the cut to the ball, and we wanted to foul, but we wanted them to catch the basketball going the other way. She caught it on the run, and we just couldn't catch her. That's how quick. Or I think it was Harrison. I don't think it was Quinterly, but they're both quick. They both look the same. They're both super quick and hard to catch, right? So we got to handle that better. Got to coach it better. Got to make sure we don't. Got to make sure we trade that off, that action off. So because once you get to chasing and it's a foot race, and we run the same thing. It's what we got the. We run similar stuff. It's what we got a good look, and we kind of rimmed out that half quarter. Kind of it was a foot race on a side play, so you just can't get caught chasing, and we did.
I think it was between turnovers and missed shots, 14 straight empty trips. What's your message to the team between quarters just to get the ship righted?
Yeah, the one downfall to this particular team is that some players, we tend to be a little reserved at times. And I didn't like our aggressiveness in that stretch, and I did not think we were decisive at all. And that was, if you're not decisive against West Virginia, you can see how good their defense is. They force 23.5 turnovers in league play. They lead the league in turnover margin. They lead the league in victory margin. They're blowing people out, and their starts have been unbelievable. They've held, I think, 2 or 3 teams scoreless in the first quarter. It's an amazing thing. I don't think I've ever seen a stat like that. So it's not just us that they did it to, right? But when it's you, boy, you feel like you can do a lot of things better. And I just felt like we were indecisive in that stretch.
Can you talk a little bit about the energy that your team gave, like towards the end of the game?
Yeah, well, I think they got the look in the eye where they weren't going to lose. You know, they felt it. They felt like they had the momentum. That's tough to do. You know, it was a dejected huddle for about 30 seconds going into overtime, and I was really proud of them because they came out of there with their eyes forward, but you could see it when we got off to a good start in overtime. You could sense it. I think the crowd helped us. I think the energy in the building was fantastic. I just wish there was more of them. We've had better crowds than that. That was one of the lower attended games in the last month, and boy, they missed a great one. Hope they watched it on TV though.
And my other question was, Briley Glenn had said that a turning point in the game was her technical and the team like choosing to get more energy off of that and like turn the game in a positive way. What would
her technical or my technical?
Her technical.
Hers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say is like a
Well,
turning point?
I don't. If Briley said it, I believe her. There's my answer. We don't want our players getting technicals. I will say this. I think the 5 players out there was a little bit of a huddle at half court after that technical, and they were a united front, so they really supported Briley. Briley's usually not one that says much, plays tough, so we don't want him getting technicals, but we certainly responded well.
So you mentioned that this is some of the best commitment you've seen from your team. They got the spark back. How much of that was having Yoki out there with them?
I don't think there's any doubt that when you have a player that makes the plays Yoki makes, that gives you a spark. But you can also look at other things like Taryn Sides 3. That gives you a spark too. Responding when your point guard goes down with the ankle injury on what you feel like she was definitely undercut on that play. They just missed it. It happens. So I think that fired our team up. I thought Eliza Maupin gave us a spark. You know, she gets a big block in the first half on Quinterly on a really good move. So there were other sparks than just Yoki. And but Yoki certainly helps. She erases a lot of at the defensive end. She gives you confidence that you know, she can erase some mistakes down there, and offensively she gives you an answer when you know, things are tough.
Obviously, statistically, we can look at first and second quarter, limiting those turnovers, making more shots. But what specifically did your team do to address those things from the first to the second?
Well, I thought that's when we turned to where we were decisive. We were decisive with where the ball was going. We were decisive with our moves. We were decisive that we had a commitment to getting the ball inside. Defensively, I thought that we had dug in and gotten a lot of stops in a row. You talk about the negative of us going 14 empty possessions, but we had like 11 stretches of 3 stops in a row. That's as good as we've been all year. So our team was really happy, probably taking some pictures with the GOAT right now, so they're thrilled with that. You can follow that on Instagram, I guess. Shameless GOAT plug, right? So I think there were a lot of things going on that were really positive.
Taryn played a bunch of minutes, including real key minutes there when Serena went down. What did you think of her performance? You know, stepping up, hitting that 3, getting that steal from Quinterly there in the 4th.
Well, I thought the next play mentality, because Quinterly took it from her at our end. She went back and got it at the other end. Yeah, I think they were critical minutes because the game could have gone the other way. Game could have gone the other way. We've just had a technical. They had a couple freebie chances. Our point guard's out of the game. All the above, and Taryn kind of steadied the ship and gave us really good minutes.
And then going off that, we saw a lot in, especially the first half, you had stretches with Eliza, Taryn, and Zai all in the game together, kind of your younger players. But talk about them and the trust that they've earned to be out there on the floor all together.
Yeah, I think that, they've had big moments all year. I don't think there's, and I think that we had stretches tonight where I thought Jay needed to be more aggressive. I thought that, and maybe also some of our veterans, Jay in particular, doesn't always get the chance to see the game from the bench very often. Sometimes that can be helpful where you see it differently. And you can see by our minutes, she didn't get many of those, right? But I thought that group, when they were out there in that stretch, really played steady. I thought defensively they were committed to some things that were good, and I thought it was real positive.
Gabby doesn't score a lot today, but 8 assists. How important has it been for her to kind of find an identity on the court outside of just the scoring that she maybe had last year?
Yeah, I think that you looked up at halftime and she had 5 assists. Not really playing real well, but obviously contributing to offense. And I just think that's a change in her game. I think that in the past maybe she had to score to contribute in some ways. Defensively, I thought she played really well tonight, played to the scout. I thought she did a lot of good things tonight. And, the offense has just kind of been a yo-yo this year. But hopefully we can settle in here and everybody start playing a little bit better.
And we didn't see Gisela tonight. Was that a matchup thing? Is she hurt? Is it?
She, we have a great practice yesterday. She dislocated her finger. So dislocated. She could have played. It's black and blue, pretty sore. I only wanted to use her if it's an emergency. And we didn't get into foul trouble, Lee was able to play. Maupin was able to play, so I didn't go that route. with her. So I think she'll be fine. They popped it back in, had to go to the doctor, had to get it back in place. It's back in place, but it's pretty black and blue. All right, guys, thank you.